126 minutes of terror. The shooter in Uvalde robbing 21 families of their loved ones, the vast majority of them under the age of 12. And of course, there are concerns over the long-term mental health, a toll and the tragedy of this magnitude can have on families and especially on children. Counselors came flooding in from all over Texas to help in the immediate aftermath, but parents, children, and the whole community will need long-term support as well. Here to help us explain this horror to children is board-certified psychiatrist Dr. Sue Varma. Welcome. It's good to have you here. And of course, it's always so hard to talk to kids about any kind of violence in the news and mass shootings, but especially when the victims were children who were gunned down at their elementary school. How do you talk to your kids about this?
You know, Ruba, it's really important that we have age-appropriate conversations. So it depends on the child and how much information they already know, how much information they can handle, and how it's impacting their mental health. So you want to already watch out for signs and symptoms if they're feeling very clingy or having difficulty falling asleep at night, or if there are milestones that they achieved in terms of separation or toilet training or whatever it might be, that they're bedwetting or regressing. So you want to be very careful about what you're sharing and how much. You want to start by asking open-ended questions. What have you heard? What do you know about this tragedy? How is this making you feel? And what can I do to support you? So I think depending on the age of the child, how involved they are in their community, if they're teens or older kids, then they may be more involved and they may be very angry and very upset, and they might be more moved to actionable change, such as getting involved, in a variety of ways by addressing it locally or on a political level. But when you're talking about young children, what you really want to do is reassure them, provide soothing, comfort, calming, and reassurance. So it really depends on the child and what you're dealing with.
And what about just, sending kids to school? I'm sure a lot of kids are now scared to go to school.
Absolutely. And, I think one of the hardest things is to hear that people and places that you're surrounding yourself with, for example, school and teachers and traditionally law enforcement, we associate this with safety, and our schools are our safe havens. There are a lot of kids who might be dealing with a lot of tumultuous issues at home, and they go to the schools because that is where they feel safe. And that's really not been the case, as we've seen for the last, 10 to 15 years, as the mass shootings have really increased. And you want to be able to maintain routine and structure as much as possible in terms of like bedtimes and wake times, but also you want to be able to have conversations with school administrators and to say, what are we doing to keep our kids safe? But, really, this is such a multifactorial, multi-pronged approach, and kids should understand that it is very complex. And sadly, this has become the reality of their lives, is trying to learn drills to hide and manage active shooting situations.
Right. I was going to ask about that. I mean, when I was young, we had fire drills, and that was pretty much it. Maybe an earthquake drill, because I grew up on the West Coast, but never active shooter drills. I mean, that must take a toll emotionally, even if kids don't realize it.
What makes me so sad is that we have taken this for granted. And absolutely, fire drills were the norm in my childhood. Stop, drop, and roll. Don't talk to strangers. And then as I became a teen, don't do drugs. And that was about it, right? We couldn't even fathom what they're going through. But, what's interesting to me on some level, again, maybe we've normalized this, and this says something about our society, and not in a good way in terms of a foreshadowing of what's to come, is when every school, as part of their routine, says, and this is what I'm afraid of, is, do we just accept this as the norm and as a status quo? And we're like, okay, well, this is going to happen and we just have to prepare for it. Absolutely, we need to prepare for it. But what can we do in the prevention realm? And I think if the older kids are able to engage in advocacy and conversations, to have large town halls, whatever makes sense for the child, depending on where they are mentally, developmentally.
But kind of engaging as a community, right? Of course, the parents have to talk to the kids, but are you saying that the kids should also engage with their community and find help and support with other kids their age?
Absolutely. And, again, depending on the child, and also recognizing as a parent their own anxiety and signs and symptoms that include headaches, nausea, stomach aches, things that, your primary care doctor says, well, you have a medically clean bill of health. What else is going on medically? And mental health is part of the, medical constellation. So recognize that there's a role for therapy and school counselors and school psychologists, and room to grieve as a community. And sometimes an action plan simply might be donating to a family that's grieving in Texas, or we're asking, where can I offer a small donation, whatever's within your budget. So tapping into action, I think for a lot of kids, even if it's writing cards to the school or letters, whatever you can do in whatever way makes you feel connected and you're giving back. Because a lot of times when we have anxiety, we're spinning our wheels. We want so much to do something, and it's a feeling of helplessness. And to counteract that, we need a sense of agency. So think about what agency looks like for you.
All right. This is really useful information for so many parents across the country right now. Dr. Varma, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.